The biggest challenge in all of it is the times when you've just got to wait. With the story of Noah, he shuts the door of the ark, he's got to wait, he doesn't know what's going to happen. It only made sense when it rained. God's weaving this tapestry brilliantly of all these different threads that are all coming together at the right time. Even where we are as a nation right now, seeing the beginnings of the revival, what is it going to be like in 2028? We will have a monument that's unashamedly about Jesus and declares to the world that Jesus is alive. He listens and answers prayer. It's happening.
The Eternal Wall of Answered Prayer is a project that is really close to our hearts here at CBN UK. And we've been there to mark every significant moment along that journey. And today is another one of those moments. So I welcome Richard Gamble.
Hi.
Now, it's fantastic to have you here and to chat again. There have been so many times that we've had little updates and conversations about this project. So what is the big announcement for today?
Well, the big news, and it is big news, is that we have signed the contract to start building.
Wow.
So what has been a vision and a dream for decades is now going to start to get physical. We are starting to build, and we will have a date, beginning of 2028, where in the heart of the United Kingdom, we will have a monument that's unashamedly about Jesus and declares to the world that Jesus is alive. He listens and answers prayer. It's happening.
So what does that process now look like in terms of building, and how long will that process take?
So there's a period of mobilization. Then what they need to do is build the molds. So there's 188 molds, that sort of segments that create this Mobius strip. They're going to be built in Portugal and then shipped over. And then meanwhile, while that is happening, we will be building the foundations. And I think the plan then is to start putting those segments together in 27, and it should be completed by the beginning of 28.
Wow.
And then we then have to, and we still need to raise money to make the site operational. So we're going to have to build visitor centre, drainage, landscaping, all of those pieces in the puzzle still have to be, need to raise the money for and still need to be completed.
Do you feel like you can actually visualise what that will look like when that is open and all these people are coming through your doors?
I think I've had it in my mind for many, many years. There was a little moment where we prayed on the land a year ago and got 300 leaders on the land to just pray. And that sort of gave me a little hint of what it would be like seeing so many people on the land. But there's also elements as like, I don't know what God's got planned. With the story of Noah, he shuts the door of the ark, he's got to wait, he doesn't know what's going to happen. And I've got this phrase, it only made sense when it rained. And so I think God is going to do something amazing, but I probably can't see all of that at this moment in time.
Is it really important to you to keep your eyes fixed on Jesus at every moment?
Well, I think, we ought to give credit because there's a whole lot of people now.
Absolutely.
And who've been on this journey, and some of them for many years, who've stuck at it. For me, the obedience is it's just a lack of option. Like, God has told us to do it, and we see his orchestration time and time again. We see him moving people to give money just at the right time. We see God moving people to volunteer just at the right time when we need their expertise. And that just keeps encouraging you that you're on the right track. But I always say, well, God hasn't told us to stop. And so the obedience is just carrying on in what he's told us to do, even though there are times where the facts are stacked against you. And we've had a number of times where we've been faced with impossibles, but you just go, well, God, if you want me to stop, I'll stop. Otherwise, I'm going to keep going.
How would you describe the depth of your faith now compared with before God gave you this vision?
I'm pleased to say it's matured. The more you put yourself on the edge for God, I think that's an inevitable consequence. I do think God's more interested in the journey than he is the destination, and interested in how we become more intimate with him. And, at times when you're faced with impossible, that's the only answer. And so that's a real privilege. I think that's a real privilege that he's allowed me to experience those moments. They don't always feel like a privilege while they're happening, but when you get through it and you discover more of God, that's amazing. I think the biggest challenge in all of it is the times when you've just got to wait, where there's no evidence anything's going to change, and you've just got to keep on going, even though you're not seeing a season of favor or a season of breakthrough. And you just got to keep going and keep trusting.
Now, obviously, we've mentioned that there's a whole team behind this project as well. And you've said before, God has brought the right people at the right time. So how much of a blessing is it when you think about the number of people that have joined you on this journey?
It blows your mind, really. You go on the journey and you feel God saying something to you. But when God says the same thing to somebody on the other side of the country, or, as has been occasions, God says something to somebody on the other side of the planet, which all goes in line, it just causes your faith to really rise. And we've even had that from donors, where we've had a specific need and a donor who has no understanding of that need has felt God speak to them and to give the money which exactly matches the amount. And when those stories happen, everyone's a winner. Because for the person giving or the person volunteering, they suddenly realise that God wants them to be part of this plan. And then for us, it's like, oh, it's really cool because God's speaking to other people about this as well. And I just sort of see it as like God's weaving this tapestry brilliantly of all these different threads that are all coming together at the right time. And even where we are as a nation right now, seeing the beginnings of the revival, what is it going to be like in 2028? And I just know that when this goes up, it's going to be in God's perfect timing, and that's exciting.
And in terms of the answered prayers, you're still in need of more?
Yes, 100%. So we can see now 120,000 answered prayers.
Okay, wow.
And we want to get up to about 250, 300,000. So we're just asking people, if you can please go to eternalwall.org.uk and share your stories with us. Not just one, as many as you like. What are the things that God has done in your life? And the reason that we're asking you to do that is because I believe people all over the world will find out about Eternal Wall. And when they go online to discover it, they're going to see a database. And what they're going to do? They're probably going to type in the storm of life that they're going through. They'll find then maybe 10 stories, maybe 100 stories. And one of those stories is going to resonate with them. And then they're going to call on the God who answers for the first time in their lives. And that's the privilege that every person has who shares our answered prayer, knowing that they're going to share a story that's going to lead people to Christ long after we've left the planet. That's the dream and the vision. So please get on board and share the stories of what God's done in your life.
Where are you today in your emotions about the whole project?
There's a bit of relief because it's actually happening, and that does change the narrative. And I think more and more now we're just accelerating because people, they realise that it's going to happen now, and so more and more people are getting on board. and more people are getting involved, and that's what we need to be able to deliver this. So it's a combination of relief, excitement, and trepidation, because we've got a lot of work to do over the next 2 and a bit years, but we'll get there.
Of course you will. I do not doubt that for one moment. God is all over this. Richard, as always, amazing to talk to you. Thank you so much, and keep us posted on all the next updates, because we will be there.
Will do.
Well, thank you so much for spending time with us today. And if you would like to find out more about the Eternal Wall and our partnership with them, you can head to cbn.uk. Thank you. Visit cbn.uk to learn more and be part of the impact.